Hey, what's up guys, TechTime here and I am back again with a brand new video. So before I begin, I just want to take a second and thank you all so much for watching my content. If you enjoy my videos, please leave a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are really close to 30,000 subscribers, which is an incredible feat. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe. So today we're going to be looking at, and I'll be giving you guys my first impressions on the all new OnePlus Nord N30 5G. So this is the next generation in the Nord lineup. So let's talk about it, and we're going to go ahead and start with the design itself. This time around, OnePlus decided to go with this kind of a near mirror finish, and it does have a glossy back to it, that's first of all. And let me tell you this about the material that they decided to use. Now, it looks cool at first, right? It looks shiny, it looks amazing, but first of all, dust is easily gonna get on this phone, and fingerprints as well, so make sure you're prepared for that. But this phone does give you a nice look so long as you just don't touch the back, just because of how glossy and how mirror like it is. And let me tell you this real quick, this was a nightmare to film, so I had to keep the camera as far and as close away to the subject as possible, which is weird to say. But yeah, so the back also has the OnePlus logo embedded in the center of it, and like I said, I mean, it gives it a cool look. It's just not the most ideal circumstance where you would use this type of material and this type of finish on a phone. Yeah, so it looks cool and all in theory, but just be prepared. If you want to show it off, have a clear case. You also get a microphone as well as a headphone jack. Now here's the thing about the headphone jack, it kind of seems like it's out of place. So if you zoom in a little bit, you can see this kind of curvature around the chassis or around the side of the phone. It just seems a little bit out of place, but whatever. So the right hand side does support your power button slash fingerprint. Last year's Nord N20 did have it in the screen. This time around they decided to go ahead and put it on the right side. The button itself is mushy, not as tactile, and that's a different story because the volume up and down, they are really tactile, very clicky, satisfying to click. So yeah, I guess when they included the fingerprint, it just gave the button a different feel. As far as the sides themselves, they feel really good. They're squared off, classic OnePlus fashion, or pretty much a lot of phones nowadays. But now let's switch up and talk about this display. And as far as the display goes, I do have to say two things about it. It's a downgrade and an upgrade at the same time from last year's generation. So last year did have an AMOLED display, which gave brighter colors. It was much brighter. This time around, OnePlus decided to go with a LCD 1080p panel, and it is at 6.72 inch. So what does that translate to? Now, don't get me wrong, this is still a good display. I think last year's was just better as far as color calibration because it was OLED. It was just high quality and it was brighter. But as far as sharpness and detail, it's still quality. I mean, it's very sharp for a phone at this price point, very detailed. It's at 391 pixels per inch, so I had no problem as far as the quality, as far as resolution. But as far as quality, I would say this about this display: while it does support the infamous at this point 120 hertz, and it's crazy to see on a sub $300 phone, thumbs up for OnePlus for actually making that happen. It's really great. However, they did sacrifice the use of an AMOLED screen and the fact that an in-screen fingerprint is no longer included in this year's generation. So it's kind of a downgrade and a lot of sacrifice for just bringing 120 hertz into the display. I don't know. I wish they would have just kept it at 90 hertz maybe and gave us the in-screen fingerprint instead, but I don't want to knock off the display too much. Still is a quality panel, just not as good as last year's. Overall though, a decent display. So now let's switch up topic of conversation and talk about the cameras. So you have a triple camera setup, and the main sensor on here has a crazy resolution of 108 megapixels, and you also get a macro sensor as well as a depth sensor and an LED flash, of course. Now let me say this real quick before I even do any testing on any real testing on the camera. 108 megapixels is a crazy resolution. It's not on by default. However, when you do turn it on, it does allow for a really nice pictures as far as resolution, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the pictures are going to be the best quality pictures that you've ever taken in a phone. So don't live up too much to the hype that the fact that it is 108 megapixels. I do have to do my camera testing on it to see how it actually performs in daylight, low light, indoor conditions, and even video quality, which it does shoot video at 1080p, 30 or 60 frames per second. So more on the camera later on, but here's what I want to say about the pictures as far as the little time that I had with it testing the camera. So they are sharp, they are detailed, and that's thanks to the 108 megapixels. Like I said, it's not on by default. However, when it is turned on, you can really zoom in into certain subjects or whatever subject you want to take a picture of, and it gives in that, you know, that cool zoom. Even the bokeh effect that I've tested on this camera was actually decent. It wasn't the greatest that I've seen, but it was actually very, very decent as far as the color calibration and the actual quality. From the, like I said, I only took a few pictures, so it wasn't nothing crazy, but they were decent. They weren't half bad at all. I do have to do my full testing on it to give you guys an actual camera review, so stay tuned for that. Stay subscribed. That video is in the works as you're watching this video. All right, so now that we discussed the camera a little bit, I actually want to switch topic of conversation and talk about the specs themselves. So this time around, what OnePlus did as far as the performance is that they gave us the Snapdragon 695 5G, accompanied by the Adreno 619 and a nice flex, which is the 8 gigabytes of RAM that come with the phone, 128 gigabytes of storage, and a nicely sized 5000 milliamp hour battery. And the performance on this phone throughout was very consistent. I haven't seen any lagging or any delay or any glitches. Again, I've only had this phone for 2 days as of recording of this video, so that's nothing too crazy to give a kind of a final conclusion on it. Now, there is one thing that is disappointing, is that OnePlus only decided to give this phone only 1 year of updates. So I don't know how you would feel about that, but that's not something that I would want in a phone that I'm trying to keep for 2 or more than 1 year. So it does support 50-watt fast charging, which tops off that 5000 milliamp hour battery really fast. I am also going to do a fast charging test on this phone to see how it pans out. But I have to say this though, overall, this seems to be like a decent phone, but at $299, you can get the Pixel 6a. And I'm sorry, the Pixel 6a has been the topic of conversation just because of how good it is and how much of a value it brings. However, in a vacuum, this still is a decent phone. And it does bring in features that the Google Pixel 6a just doesn't have. Now, it's all about how much important those features are, such as the high resolution camera. It may not be as quality as the Pixel 6a, but if you guys want to see that comparison, also make sure you let me know. I'll make it happen. It's a good phone. It's a really good phone for the money that you're paying for it. So make sure you subscribe. I'm going to do my full review. I'm going to do more testing so we can actually come to a conclusion. Yeah, with that being said, let me know what you guys think of it. Have you bought it? Have you used it? I want to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below. With that being said, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so. Let's hit that 30,000 subscriber mark point, and I will catch you guys in the next one. I appreciate you all for watching. See you soon.